Hello friends, lover for Battle for Middle Earth games. It's me, Shadowfax here. Hope you're having a good day. Today we're going to learn the Elven faction build order against other factions. Against other factions. Elves is it's an amazing faction, one of the strongest factions. In my opinion, it's the strongest forces of light faction. We're going to do very early start with the elves. It's very aggressive start. One farm, one barracks. Pro players start this build order. It's not. It is. It's like. It's not ideal, but this is very aggressive. The ideal start is to get two Malonry and then one Elven Barracks. What you can do with this start is aggressively creep. You go always for the pikeman and creep the warglar, and then get Lorien warrior and attack the enemy. While you do that, you get after getting Lorien warrior, you get Lorien archers. So you attack with Mistone sentries and Lorien warrior, and the Lorien archers is gonna defend your base while you're harassing. If the enemy send one unit, so we're gonna creep with this Mistone sentry. It's a very strong pikeman, and it can creep. It can creep the warglar without any problems. Okay, now we're gonna get the Lorien archers. We are against Isengard faction, and I recommend making heroes versus the Elven race, versus the Isengard race. We need always to make heroes like Haldir, Arwen, and Glorfindel, because the Urukai are very tanky unit, and you can kill them with your Elven heroes. Okay, we did this creep, and now we're gonna attack the enemy. We combine them. Pikeman will protect the Lorien warrior. Okay, and that is Forest Farm. This is gonna be very early. Oh, actually, we're against Mordor. We're against Mordor. I forgot that we made it random. Okay, against Mordor. Lorien archers are gonna smash the troll with their arrows. This start is amazing versus Mordor also. This is amazing for Mordor, against Mordor. The start of the Lorien warrior and Lorien Mistone sentries, because this way you can aggressively pressure on Mordor buildings. And Mordor, as you know, they are very strong later on. Okay, after one barracks, we're gonna go for the horses, because Mordor is a spammy faction, and we can creep now while we're attacking. Mordor is a spammy faction, so we need horses sooner or later. So, in my opinion, after getting 4 farms, 4 elven trees, you need the stable. I don't recommend getting stable very early, because you can be easily countered by the enemy. Unless you have like under some cases, we're gonna talk about them later. We get Rivendell Lancers, and we keep attacking his economy. And we're also gonna creep. Alright, we are against Mordor now. And Mordor is spamming trolls. The AI is not the smartest. You don't want to spam trolls versus the strongest faction of arrows. Elves is the strongest arrows faction. It can shoot, and we can kill easily these trolls. Right. Mordor is not spamming any orc so far, only orc archers. We can trample it with the Lorien warriors. I mean, Rivendell lancers. Alright. Always the transition. But now it's very early to do any transition. Haldir is the first hero we always need versus Mordor. We have so many units. Let's keep. And elves they have one special thing. They don't lose units. You can save units with the elves and not lose them. So this is gonna be a huge step for the elves. Elven units are pure units. We're gonna rally call all of them and attack the economy. Actually, at this point, it doesn't make sense to go for Haldir. We're just gonna get ants. Because the enemy is not doing good at all against us. I expected more from a hard AI, but looks like the hard is easy. So what I care about is to tell the players what we should start with. You can even take his fortress. The build order is the most important thing in this game. We started very aggressive start. And always Haldir before the Mirkwood archers. Always Haldir to level him up before the Mirkwood archers. So Haldir and with some Lorien warriors and Lorien archers, he's gonna be really great. This start, aggressive start, like one farm, one Elven barracks, it's very strong versus Mordor. I need to repeat it. Very strong versus Mordor, Angmar, and Goblin. Mordor, Goblin, and Angmar, they have very aggressive, I mean, spam. Once you get the elves against Mordor, go for an early barracks and you can send against them strong units. Goblin warrior won't be able to kill the Lorien warrior and Mistone sentries, nor the orc warrior. So these factions are gonna struggle the most against very early barracks. Let's start another build order. We are going to make now 2 farms and 1 barracks of the elves. We go for 1 farm and another farm. I call the resource buildings farms, but they are called Malon trees for the elves, and farms only for the men of the west. Okay. 2 buildings. We can go for a normal start, like this is called a normal start. You always go for Lorien warriors after getting this farm. You go always for Lorien warrior after making this start. You can't creep, you can't go for pikemen after getting 2 farms, 1 elven barracks. Don't go for pikemen because the enemy is gonna send his first battalion of warriors and you need to defend it with your first battalion of warrior. You can go to creep after, but the first battalion should always be Lorien warrior after 2 farms. Okay, what you can now do is get another farm. This is like saving. This is like defensive start. You can defend. Alright. Lorien. Some players go after the Lorien warrior for Lorien archers to defend their farms. So this is gonna be attacking the enemy's farms. And okay, actually we are against goblins. After 4 Malon trees, we're gonna buy the Elven stable. How many farms do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4. It is preferably to have 5 Malon trees, and then we're going to get the stable after 5 farms. You can get it earlier, like 4 Malon trees. And then get the stable, but this is like a safer pathway. So you can, horses are expensive, and if you lose them, you're gonna lose lots of money. So it is better to go for good economy before you get the um, good economy before you get the horses. 5 farms can support your economy. You're not gonna stop producing soldiers from this building, and at the same time you're gonna keep making transition into horses. Right. Rivendell Lancers. We're creeping meanwhile to earn some resources. The creeping is very, very, very powerful. Always go for a creep. The map is filled with creep, and if you take your opponent's creep like this one and this one, Troll and Warglar, this is gonna be amazing. Always try to get advantage of the creep on the map. So against goblins we get 2 Rivendell Lancers. That's all for now. Rivendell Lancers. We don't need to spam horses because they take so much command points. 70 command point. And we need the heroes. The best combination is pikemen, archers, and swordmen. We can creep this one by putting it defensive stance like that. Horses are gonna destroy buildings. 2 battalions of horses. And we can now, the best favorite hero always for elves is Haldir. Haldir is the best hero always. Alright, and Rally Call definitely. Haldir is the elven horses are very light horses. They die versus anything. They die very quickly versus anything. So we shouldn't. Okay, now we're creeping this troll. We shouldn't really let them take the damage. Just attack and retreat. Attack and retreat. And we did the creep this troll. Alright, more units. We can use the alt so we escape after destroying that building. And meanwhile, we're gonna fight these units. Spiders and half trolls. Go back to the pits that spawned you. We're gonna heal these units from one of the wild. We can go for another farm. And after that, oh, whoa, our creep is gonna be stolen, looks like it. We can creep this one. So we got Haldir on his bow always, because Haldir is not a strong archer hero. He would die versus anything. He's a light hero. Now we go for a second barracks. We could have gotten this second barracks earlier, but it is safer to get more, Haldir before. Okay, we make more archers. We need all kind of units. Even Linden Horse archers, we need them. We need Linden Horse archers against the goblin. They are fast horses and they can shoot other fast spiderlings. Alright. 2 Wall will heal much faster. So we're gonna go for 2 Wall. We can get another hero now. After some of the units. Okay. Elven archers are gonna defend. Linden Horse archers. And Lorien, we can, yeah, this is the best, in my opinion, best Elven wood. It can be countered by the elves, the Elven wood. It can be countered by the goblins, I mean. But it's still important in my opinion. If the goblins go for a scavenger, for example, it's just right, horses. Okay, this camp here is gonna be amazing. Goblins can never destroy this camp because we have power on this elven wood. Alright, now we can get heroes. Now we can do whatever we want at this stage of the game. Build order is fine, economy is fine, but just keep expanding with farms all the time, so you can buy other stuff. always we need to expand with. We need to expand with the technology. For example, it's time to get the Mirkwood archers, and if we get the Noldor archers, that would be even perfect. We're attacking the enemy. Goblin fortresses are very weak normally. So what we're gonna do is get Entmoot. I mean, we need to destroy the fortress sooner or later, but because we're camping and the goblins are unable to destroy our camp, this camp I'm talking about, we don't really need to harass his goblins farms or anything. We will just simply go for the Entmoot and destroy the fortress and not leave this camp. Actually, this camp is making us double buffed. First buff is gonna be from Haldir's leadership, and the second buff is gonna be from the Tainted Land, Elvenwood I mean, making the army of the elves permanently double buffed. Normally players expand on the top side of the map or on bottom side of the map. We're gonna harass those places, and always more technology, buying armor and buying Mirkwood archers, but we don't have any command point now. We're killing all of the goblins units. We have a rally call now. It's gonna count the same as the Elvenwood rally call, so we can leave the Elven camp a little bit to harass these farms and get Treebeard. He is the strongest strongest horse. Oh my goodness. This Treebeard is the strongest ant for the elves. Alright. Mirkwood archers to defend our home, and we're gonna buy some. I recommend guys to control control and 1, numbering your barracks is control 1, control 2, control 3. Like this way you can have fast access to your units. Now definitely we're these spell are situational. Like you go for the Encountering Mist, if the enemy go for the Tainted Land and they keep countering, like you can put the Elvenwood on the Tainted Land. But if the Isengard go for the tent, it's just how to explain it. It's situational, okay? It is situational. For example, if the enemy have a big army of Spider Riders, go always for Cloud Break. If the enemy don't have any archers, go for Eagles. This kind of stuff. And if the enemy you're pressuring on him and you need to finish his fortress, go for the Ant Summon. And that's what we're gonna do now. We go directly to destroy the fortress and these barracks, and we're using alt to do multiple order. And this archer army is gonna protect the ants. Okay. And yeah, we're gonna buy the Mirkwood Silver Throne arrows on the Mirkwood to defend our Treebeard. Isn't just good against buildings. He can knock down and fight with his stuff. Alright, Elvenwood, Glorfindel. Lindenhorst archers are protecting Lorien archers, by the way. If you put the Lorien archers inside the Lindenhorst archers, they can defend them. And the Glorfindel will use his Blade of Purity and also destroy some of the buildings. Okay, what we can do also is heal our army. Great. We're gonna destroy his inn. It gives units from the it gives corsairs from the barracks. This Mirkwood will stay at home, and I recommend also making this statue and putting the Mirkwood inside the wood. This is very amazing camping style. If the enemy are not gonna see your Mirkwood because they are already hidden, they hide inside the wood and they can shoot the enemy silver arrows. This way you can destroy any enemies that might attack you. Alright. Elves is the campy faction. If your playstyle is a campy, if you have a campy playstyle, always play the Elven faction. And as I said before, Elves is one of the, actually it is the strongest faction of the Forces of Light, in my opinion. It's stronger than Men of the West, and it's stronger than the Dwarves. Okay, Eagle. I recommend Eagle also against players who don't go for who don't go for archers. For example, if you're against Men of the West and he's not making many archers, he's aggressively attacking with horses and swordmen. a Gondor soldier, Gondor tower guard, always buy eagle. And not at the start of the game, definitely, but at some point of the game, they are gonna be needed. Um, okay, at this point, it is over. Elves are not the fastest buildings destroyers in the game. Not so fast in destroying buildings. By the way, Haldir's golden arrow, it stuns the enemy units. Um, it's very useful to make the enemy stop moving, so you can kill them. Elves. We're gonna talk after this game about the Elven third start. Okay, Elven third start. What you can also do with the elves is put some statue here, and pikemen and Mirkwood archers in some camp of the game. This is the last building for the goblins. You like make camp Mirkwood archers and Mistone sentries in every area of the map. This way you can defend yourself from the harassment of the sideways harassment. Okay. I'm gonna talk about one of the starts that works versus pro players in this game. It's called the 3 farms stable. You go for 3 farms, 1 farm and 1 farm, 3 malon trees, and then you go for the stable. And you don't delete the stable because it can afford for your economy can afford for making resources to keep spamming the horses. You get 2 battalion of horses, and after that you harass your opponent's economy. Your opponent is gonna start with Lorien warrior, Gondor arts, Gondor swordmen, Gondor soldiers, or maybe even goblin warrior, like swordman battalion start. So you can kill it with your horses. This start, I don't recommend it versus dwarves, because dwarves are very tanky pikemen. They have very tanky pikemen, and the pikemen can kill your horses and your farms. So you're gonna make 2 battalions of Rivendell Lancers to destroy the enemy's economy. And definitely, always we go for the rally call to make our army stronger. Deals more damage. Elves, but most of the time, pro players go for early barracks, like 1 farm, 1 barracks. This start. Now we go to Rivendell Lancers, and we focus only on farms. Don't focus on killing units or following units, because you're gonna waste time. And now we shouldn't expand with the economy, because the enemy might start. Okay, he started with swordmen. People don't normally start something different than swordmen at the start. No one attacks you with pikemen, because they are gonna lose their pikemen against your swordmen if you start with swordmen. So this way is like outsmarting your opponent. We have now 2 battalions of Rivendell Lancers. The enemy might harass you with pikemen, because you have horses, so they're gonna harass you with pikemen. This is what players do. What you can do now is get archers at home, and archers to defend against the pikemen. 2 battalions of Lorien archers can defend against any pikeman. We're gonna destroy so much of their economy with these 2 battalions. A rally call of forces. This rally call is so good. Lorien archers. And now we can defend our economy with the Lorien archers, because the job of the archers in this game is to defend your economy. The job of the archers is to defend your economy from the enemy's pikemen or any other swordman. Okay, so this is one of the starts. You can now at this point. Oh, whoa! Almost lost the pikeman. The horses against the pikeman. At this point, you can start. We can do whatever you want. Okay, it's about your brain skill to react about what's happening in the game. So, so now you did a good start with your horses, and you defended with your archers, and that's it. You can go even for Haldir. You can go for just anything. But always, always, always at the elves, you need double barracks, not just one barracks. You need two barracks, because the production for these units is low. You need the pikemen, you need the Lorien warrior, you need Lorien archers, and one barracks cannot produce all of these at the same time. So you need more barracks to produce more units. Okay. And Haldir is always the most, like 90% of the games, you need him for his leadership at level 5. These are all the start. I think, yeah, yeah. I want also to talk about the goblin. This horse's start works perfectly against Mordor and goblins because they are spammy factions. And if you start with horses as elves, you can destroy the goblins spam if the goblin player started with 2 goblin caves. You can also destroy the structures like resource buildings of the goblins and the slaughterhouses of the Mordor. This start also works versus. Actually, works versus goblins and Mordor the most because they don't have pikemen in their barracks. Main barracks, Goblin Cave doesn't have pikemen, and Orc Pit doesn't have pikemen. And always use it to destroy structures. Not you can trample units, but if they are on your way, just focus on the resource buildings and never fight the barracks unless the barracks of the orc pit is outside of the range of the fortress. Against Angmar, I don't recommend the start of the horses because they have pikemen, spammy pikemen. They can spam Rudor pikemen very early at the game. Against dwarves, I don't recommend it because, as I said, the dwarves they rush you with phalanx and guardians at the start sometimes. Against Men of the West, also I don't recommend it. So it's perfect versus goblins and sometimes against Isengard. Yeah, it works against Isengard. Because the Isengard Uruk-hai pikemen are very expensive. 350 and they die versus Lorien archers. So it can work versus Mordor and Goblin and the Isengard. And this is it. But the ideal is to go 2 Malon trees and 1 Elven barracks. And one more point. The early barracks is very aggressive, but you shouldn't lose your economy. If you lose 1 or 2 resource buildings with the very early barrack start, you're gonna lose the game. So protect your economy. First 2 farms, you should protect them. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped your start with the Elven faction. And have a good day. Thanks for watching.